Hello, welcome back to my channel. So if you've been following along, this is probably the tail end of the book hauls for the spring Bag of Books book haul. Yeah, I can't fit that many more books. Oh my goodness. Actually, I also have a new outlet for crime fiction, especially, that otherwise I would have to adopt it because there's nowhere for it to go. I now have at our bookstore a crime cart where I can put, crime novels, murder mysteries, thrillers, and cozies, but we already have a cozy cart for cozy fiction, mystery, or otherwise. But now we have a crime cart. So, some of the books I would otherwise be adopting and bringing home can go on there first, and maybe they'll sell. Because this is still a bookstore that benefits the library, and we like that. But in the meantime, I still have the rest of my books that I brought home from the aftermath of the Bag of Books sale. All the leftovers that, even when we told people, take them, they're free, they still didn't take them. So I took some. So I did not actually bring home any hardbacks. Notice the caveats in there. Any hardbacks today. I didn't actually bring home that many books. I brought home some plays, which are going to be somewhere in this video, or I may split this into 2 remaining videos instead of just one, just so that it's not ridiculously long. Because I also have a stack that's not technically this book haul, but I'm going to include it in this book haul video series so that it works for my rewards game. So that'll probably make it comfortable for a 2 video set. So second to last actual video, last segment. Yeah. I'm going to have to figure out how to number them all now. Anyway, these are all books I brought home a couple days ago. So they've been living in my space in boxes. It's time to shelve them where they go and start reading them. So I'm going to just start showing you books and talking about them like I've been doing in all the videos. If you've missed the other videos, this is going to be a playlist. I'm still really haphazard about organizing my videos, as you might have noticed if you've followed me for a while. That is going to change. It's one of my resolutions. Probably the beginning of June, when I can listen to audiobooks and have them count for things, because right now, Kooky Mayhem, the books I'm supposed to be reading are mostly ebooks, and I can't really listen and organize videos at the same time because they're not listening books. So I have a feeling when I get on my next audiobook, maybe this month, probably June, somewhere in this week, I'm going to do a big reorganization of my videos so they actually have playlists that make sense. So that'll be nice, and this will be part of a playlist for the great Spring 2025 Bag of Books book haul, which has become a thing, and totally more than I expected. I was just going to get a couple bags of books. That's all it was going to be, really. Anyway, let's get started on the books. We'll chatter along as we go, but we'll get a lot of these on the video so you can see if you want to read them or if you've already read them and I should read them or whatever. First book is a memoir by Julia Alvarez, Once Upon a Quinceañera, which I'm guessing is about her quinceañera, which is a party that they throw in Mexico and probably other places as well, for young women who come of age at 15, quinceañera. And this one is subtitled Coming of Age in the USA. In my part of the U.S., there are quinceañera parties, They're not usually as elaborate as if you go further south. But anyway, Julia Alvarez is really good. She's the lady that wrote How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents and In the Time of Butterflies and lots of books. I highly recommend. I haven't read any of her nonfiction though, so her memoir should be interesting. So I'm pretty sure that's what this is. It was on the memoir card. Yes. We'll find out if it's hers. That's the one thing I'm not sure about on this one. Mismeasure of Man by Stephen Jay Gould. Classic in anthropology. Lucky by Jackie Collins. Check out her look in the back of the book. This is one of the how to look cool looks that I absorbed when I was a kid. I wanted to be that kind of cool. So, but as we discussed in the last video, I might have gone for a different vibe. Yeah, just a little bit. The Will to Power by Friedrich Nietzsche. Yeah, a bit of a change from Jackie Collins. The Phenomenon of Man by Teilhard de Chardin. And I'm not sure how I would say his first name in French. So I'm just going to say Teilhard for now. When I read it, I might figure out how you're actually supposed to say that when it's properly pronounced in French. Just for the hell of it. A Sudden Change of Heart by Barbara Taylor Bradford, which is short for a Barbara Taylor Bradford. So I don't know if I'll like her or not. I've never read her before, but we have a lot of them. And here's another blast from the past look. This is not one that I ever aspired to, but I know people my mom's age that definitely looked a lot like that. Murder Comes in Threes by Deb Baker, which is very colorful. If I need a book with with rainbow colors on the cover, every once in a while there's readathons of things like that. This will be a good one for that, and it's short. Falls the Shadow by William Lashner, best-selling author of Fatal Flaw. It's a thriller, I believe. Red Storm Rising by Tom Clancy. Dazzle by Judith Krantz. Yeah, her hair is puffier than I ever have the patience to do mine. But that's getting more the hair shape that I seem to have gone to. Yeah. Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo. It's a nonfiction public speaking. I'm going to set these down. I will be right back. Alrighty. Let's have some more books. Intellectual Morons. How Ideology Makes Smart People Fall for Stupid Ideas. I rescued it from the recycling. Yeah. On a day where I'm just really pissed off at people, I'll read this book and I'll feel better. Double Standards by Aviva Hellman. And this one following on the one I just held up. You could make some statements with some of these books. Yeah, the order that you layer them. Anyway. Not that we're doing that. We're looking at the books. That's all we're doing. We're looking at the books. How the World Was Won, Beyond the Global Village by Arthur C. Clarke, which I believe this is a nonfiction. Yes, this is nonfiction. So, Arthur C. Clarke, a lot of his ideas in his novels were highly influential and inspiring young future engineers and scientists who then went on to make technology that was inspired by and patterned off of Arthur C. Clarke's ideas, similar to all the stuff people are doing that's, inspired by Star Trek. And it's not that much of a coincidence that what we have is so similar to Star Trek, because it was so inspiring, and that's the engineers that are now designing that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what a sci-fi author that's that kind of inspiration has to say. Undaunted Courage by Stephen E. Ambrose. We have a lot of copies come in of this one, so obviously it's been very popular, but I've never read it, and it's in my section in the history section. As a recap for folks that have not been following my bookstore journey, I volunteer at a Friends of the Library bookstore. So it's a nonprofit. I'm a volunteer. I work in the history section, and I handle the adult fiction M's. I also have a shelf for the Bookhaul's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list. And now, as of today, I have the crime cart, which is a lot of areas, but most of them, you get them set up and then you just maintain them. So, as long as I keep my eye on them and, price things and remove things that are not selling every so often, it's not that hard. But I will admit I have enough sections that I might be handing something off to somebody soon. But maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, The Murder of Jim Fisk for the Love of Josie Mansfield by H.W. Brands. A Tragedy in the Gilded Age. The Unwinding, An Inner History of the New America by George Packer. This one was a National Book Award winner, so it's probably pretty good. Here's another John Saul. I showed the paperbacks in the previous video that I got from this part of the book haul. So this is another John Saul brainchild. I'm hoping they're good. I heard it on sprints that John Saul is good. So we'll find out. These next three I have read and might be living on my permanent shelf. I might also just hold on to them till I have someone that I want them to read this book and I can just hand it to them. First one is Without You There Is No Us by Suki Kim. This is an excellent book. It came out a couple years ago. I read it as an ARC when it was a Goodreads giveaway book. So I got a print copy as a Goodreads giveaway. Loaned it to my mom after I read it. I was like, this is a really good book. She's forgotten that it's my book. So I had to get another copy. Yeah. It is a memoir about a woman who has gone over to North Korea to teach English in elite schools. So it's pretty cool. All right. So, next up is one of Mary Stewart's fantasy novels, The Crystal Cave. This is part of her Arthurian series, in which a young boy finds portals that take him back in time to the world of King Arthur. And I loved these books as a kid. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep hardbacks of all of them. Right now I don't have most of them. And the ones I do have are in really tatty paperbacks that really are wearing out. So I may just keep trading up until I have the nicest books that I feel like, keeping. without spending a lot of money on them. Or I'll reread them and find that they're not that great after all and hand them off to somebody. But while we're doing images, if my hair was a little bit more naturally wavy, yeah, that's kind of the look I'm going for too. So, and is this 50s? I don't know. Let me see when this book came out. That might peg what my look is at the moment. The other one, though, I think that we were looking at was 20s. This one's early 70s, so this is a 1960s probably portrait. Yeah. Similar. So, anyway, this one I will probably hold on to until I meet someone who needs it. But Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya. Excellent book. And yes, if this is hard to get in Australia and somebody that direction wants to read it, it might go with the books that are going towards a certain somebody in Australia, so that there is a copy of it over there to be read. Because I know Rodolfo Anaya is American and from our part of the region, or our part of the U.S., our region. So I would not be surprised if it's harder to get Anaya books in Australia. Just saying. Here's the other book that I mentioned in the previous video, that I did have another book by Christina Baker Klein, the author of Orphan Train. This one is The Exiles. So I will be reading more by her. I don't remember if I've read Orphan Train. I know we just got a new copy of it at the bookstore, literally 3 hours ago. So if I need to read it, we have it, unless it sells between now and when I go to work again, which it might. Here's Rain Dance by Sky Kathleen Moody, with, I think, a pelican on the cover. It's a really weird looking pelican, though. Maybe a wood carving of a pelican? Interesting. Here is another one of that cat series by Karen Kajewski. Stray Cat Waltz. I am going to have to look into this series and see if it needs to be read in order and what I'm missing, because I found enough of them that I might want to read the series in order and do it properly. Because the cats, if there's cats actually in the book, I need to be reading this series. Because I read the Cat Who series several years ago now, and I haven't really found that many other cat series that are that engaging. And that one was very, very short, too. So I need some more cat murder mysteries in my life. I'm going to put these down, and then we'll do some more books. I'll be right back. I have a cat. There's a cat. And I think this is book 1, though. Hi. Yeah. Are you helping? No. He says, I'm the mascot, and I will sit on all the books. If I had a bookstore of my own, she would totally be the bookstore cat. No. Okay, Katerina. Can you help me by going over there? Thank you. Okay, back to the books. We have The Magician's Tale by David Hunt, with lots of foil on the cover. There were several readathons last year where books with foil on the cover was something you were supposed to look for a prompt. So that one might be useful. Yeah, everybody that's doing these readathons and setting prompts, you guys are influencing which books I randomly pick in book hauls like this by which ones I had a hard time finding something I wanted to read in. Not that it's that hard, relatively hard, because I do have a lot of books. Anyway, Um, Delivering Death by Juliet Kramer. When I saw this book, just the front of it, I thought, oh, it's probably a romantic story or something. I don't know why I thought that. And then I saw the title, like, it's got death in the title. I'll bet this is a mystery. And it's been scribbled out on the mystery thing on the end, but it's a mystery. I don't know why I thought it was romantic. Yeah. I just see too many mysteries nowadays. Anyway, Summer House with Swimming Pool by Herman Koch. Not sure what genre. It's giving me horror thriller vibes, but that may just be that I don't read a lot of horror, so I wouldn't know. But the written in blood thing, definitely thriller, maybe darker than that. We have Dynamite Road by Andrew Klavan, or Klavan. And underneath these guys, I'm going to show you these two bigger ones so they can get out of here. The Doonesbury Chronicles by G.B. Trudeau. I grew up on these, so I had to adopt it. Yeah, this was one of the cartoons that I would, study when I was out sick and had to stay at my dad's office when I was a little kid. So I had to. It will probably be a permanent book. This one I was just curious about. The Society of Mind by Martin Minsky. Not sure what it is, but it was interesting enough to just throw it in the box and find out later. So yeah, I got a few things that I'll be keeping permanently, or at least permanently-ish. Most of the books that I've been showing you guys are going to be read and sent back to the store or given to somebody else. I still do not keep most of the books I read. And you'll have noticed, looking at, the number of books I got versus the number of those books that I've already read, I don't acquire a lot of books that I've already read. If I do, there's a reason. Either it's the best book in that genre, or I have someone that needs it, or it's something that I loan off enough that I need extra copies. So a lot of this is just until I read it and then it goes away. I did find one sci-fi or fantasy and science fiction magazine. This one is July of... I miss the times when they put the year and the month together. Some of them they do. This one, they did not. It is July, 32nd year of publication. There we go. 1982. I wondered with the formatting, because eventually it gets so it's a lot easier to find the dates. Tokyo, Year Zero by David Peace. An author I've heard of, but I don't know why, and I know I haven't read him yet. This one I have heard mentioned. It is nonfiction YA, called Balcony on the Moon, Coming of Age in Palestine by Ibtisam Barakat. And I probably did not pronounce that name correctly, but we'll work on it. False Witness by Dorothy Unak. Nice Halloween colors, which might be useful. The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers, Economic Change and Military Conflict from 1500 to 2000 by Paul Kennedy. Yes, I do read these books in addition to all the fluffy books. Okay, fluffy in quotes, because they're fluffy with murders, but they're fluffy. The Great Bridge, the epic story of the building of the Brooklyn Bridge by David McCulloch. I will eventually read a lot of David McCulloch. As long as I'm running the history section, I feel like I should be aware of some of these authors, and he's one of the popular ones right now, and he's certainly written a lot of really interesting looking books. Latinos, A Biography of the People by Earl Shorris. Interesting combination, because the author's name doesn't scream Latino at me. So I'm curious on that one. John Le Carré, The Biography by Adam Sisman. I've heard his story is really interesting, so I'm looking forward to that. This one's just a random autobiography. No idea who he is, what he did, why the autobiography exists. But this is 20,000 Mornings by John Joseph Matthews. I will find out when I read it. Every once in a while I do just adopt random biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs off the free cart. This one was, during this exceptional time. But I do pick them up just, to find out why they even merit a book. And some of them turn out to be really good. So, even if I've never heard of the person before, their story might turn out to be one that I'm glad that I've read. A little bit. YouTube. Okay. Alright. We got Jose Clemente Orozco, an autobiography. I have heard of Orozco, and this one is very thin, so that one will be useful and interesting, probably. The Best American Essays of the Century, edited by Joyce Carol Oates. Nice and fat, although these ones are deceptive because they use fat paper. It's not actually over 600 pages. It just looks fat. So when you're doing things where you're trying to find tomes, those books are frustrating because they look like a tome and they're not. They are several hundred pages too short to count as a tome. An Empire of Wealth, The Epic History of American Economic Power. Very timely. And I love the art. It's, it reminds me of an artist. And when I read it, I will have to also find some of the art that it reminds me of. Although now it's reminding me of a Russian artist as well. So I'm going to have to do some research. Anyway, by John Steele Gordon. And there's the art. I love that style. And there's actually a few people that work in that style, but I would have artwork like that on my walls happily. Hopefully it's a good book too, but it's pretty on the cover because of that painting. Compound by S.A. Bodine. It's shiny. I almost didn't put this in my box because it wasn't that appealing, but look at how shiny it is. And I was feeling my inner dragon by then, so that's all it took. American Creation by Joseph J. Ellis, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Founding Brothers. It's another award-winning history writer. Probably good. This is one that I understand why nobody bought it, because it doesn't look interesting from the outside. And it's very slim, doesn't really say much about what it is. It has this floral design on it, which was a clue, but not a great clue yet. And then if you looked on the back, the top map is Slovenia. This is a book about Slovenian immigrants. It's called Footsteps Through Time. Recalls the actual experiences of Slovenian immigrants prior to their departure from Slovenia, as well as their immigration to the United States through the early 1900s. So it may be really dry, but it's not very long, and the subject matter could be really interesting. So I grabbed that one. This next one, I just had to, because that title. Chain a lamb chop to the bed. Yes. It may be really silly in a bad way, but the last really silly book that I read turned out not to be so silly by the end of it and was actually really good. So, we'll just find out. Endgame by L.T. Ryan, a Jack Noble thriller, which I think is a sci-fi thriller. This one's a textbook, and I might use it as such. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I actually treat them as a textbook and do the problem sets and everything. Introduction to Logic. It's one of those classes I always wanted to take, and it never fit my schedule, and I was never a philosophy major, so I couldn't justify it. So it might happen. And then I haven't really started collecting Ken Follett books, but I did adopt one just because it was going to be recycled, and it needs to be wiped down with a cleaning cloth. But that's really it, and it's not in bad condition. So I did get one Ken Follett. I have a feeling in October for our next bag of books sale, some of these authors that I don't really own a lot of yet, that I've just gotten token books from, might be what I focus on more in October. Because we do get a ton of Ken Follett. Also, I'll be watching for Tom Wolfe books. We get a lot of those, and the hardbacks for those are huge. So I'd already cleared out a lot of the extras by the time I started getting books for me, because I didn't think about it in those terms yet, and so I was kind of kicking myself for not thinking about what I wanted first. But that's okay. Did I need more books? No. No, I actually don't. Because I can get them in October. There's also a half-price sale in August. I'm not getting half-price books in August. I'm just not. I don't need to. I can wait. And I will still be getting free books from the free cart and books that are being recycled that I rescue and stuff like that. So the rest of this book haul is going to be in another video. Before I get to that, and before I wrap up this video, I'm going to show you what I picked for this week to show you how virtuous I am that I did not bring home a book for my 6-hour free book this week. I brought home a puzzle. And what a puzzle it is. It's actually still wrapped. It is flags. Check out that. It's so cool. And the back of it has all sorts of other puzzles I need. Like, look at all those other puzzles. I need those puzzles. So, I will be watching for more puzzles. We got a whole bunch donated all at once today. Yeah. So, at the very least, I have this puzzle. And depending on how long we have a glut of puzzles, I may bring you home a puzzle again next week. Because it's going to take a while to get to where I actually know what I still need in my books. So anyway, I was very excited about it. It's not that hard because each flag is enough different that you just need to figure out which order the flags are in. So it's not like the ones like the continuous patterns, like the pile of coins where they're all the same kinds of coins. We had one of those donated too. I did not get that one. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up and do one more video. So I'm keeping these short-ish because the hour-long haul videos, they're fun, but the playlist will give you that option if you want a long watch. Otherwise, keeping them shorter, it'll be easier for me to find them afterwards when I'm trying to figure out what I finished and what I haven't. So I will see you in the next video or somewhere online. And yes, it will take me a little while to make that playlist. I promise there will be a playlist. So if you haven't watched all of the hauls yet, they will be in an easy to watch the whole thing format this week sometime. But I will catch you in the next video or somewhere online. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye!